Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time and your viewership. It means a lot. And today it is my pleasure to be talking about the brand new 2021 release by the company Frapin. This is a French cognac house. This one is called Bois Blanc. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Bois Blanc by Frapin, and I tell you all about this fragrance, what it smells like to me, how long it lasts on my skin, so on and so forth, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews just like this, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, please be sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. This way, whenever I do put out these videos, they will get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. So here we have the brand new 2020 release by the company Frapin. This one is called Bois Blanc, which means white woods or blonde woods. And I had the opportunity of chatting with the creative director, David Fassard. I'm going to leave a card to that video up here if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the company and how it got started and his involvement in the company, so on and so forth. But I'm a huge fan of this house. And so I have 1270, 1697 is another one that I absolutely love. I have If. It's spelled. It's a poem by Rudyard Kipling. It was inspired by that. And so they have a very diverse collection and a diverse range of fragrances. The Orchid Man is another one that I absolutely love. And here we have one called Bois Blanc. And so this one has guaiac wood, cedar wood, but it also has some other really interesting ingredients. So it has the geranium, eucalyptus, cade, which adds a little bit of smoke. It has ginger, some citrus in the opening to liven things up. I also want to mention that if you are interested in picking up this fragrance from a credible source, you may do so at maxaroma.com. All of their information is going to be down below, so definitely make sure to check them out. And they actually have, I think, about 10 bottles remaining from the last time that I checked. I don't know from the time that I'm shooting this video to the time that I'm going to publish it if that's going to stay the same, but nevertheless, you may pick your bottle up at Max Aroma if you are interested, and they do occasionally run promotions. So all of the information is going to be down below, and I'm really excited to tell you about the smell and what I get from it. Let's start things off with the presentation. So as soon as this fragrance opens up, you get this creamy, smoky, slightly sweet vibe from the fragrance. And it seems like it goes in a few different directions, but the marriage of each one of those directions is very harmonious because there isn't too much of a contrast. There isn't too much of a juxtaposition, if you will. So it opens up with this freshness. You have the eucalyptus, which adds this mentholated feel to the fragrance, but not overly so. Something in the vein of like a geranium or something like that. You also have the ginger, which really breathes life and energy into the composition. And a little bit of citrus as well, but I can't necessarily distinguish what type of citrus is being used in here. But I get the eucalyptus, I get that bright pseudo-minty thing that's going on in the opening. And I say pseudo-minty, not in the sense that it doesn't contain menthol, because it does, but there's no spearmint or peppermint or anything like that to my understanding. And so I get that bright, energetic introduction from this fragrance. But there's this undertone of sweetness and smoke, as though there's like amber or sandalwood residing in the base, and the cade oil is certainly contributing to that smoky nuance that you're going to pick up in the base. And what I think that does is it adds this element of mystery to the composition. And I think that that's quite necessary, especially when you have a very bright and effervescent fragrance. But of course, the name is Bois Blanc, and so we have to talk about the woods that are in here. So there is Virginian cedar wood in this fragrance, and it certainly does smell woodsy. And there's also guaiac wood. Now, guaiac wood is a very interesting fragrance, and that also comes across smelling rather smooth and creamy, and sometimes it could smell like cured meats. I know that that's very unusual, but if you've actually smelled guaiac wood essential oil, and I've also heard this from the mouths of perfumers, they've actually made that comparison themselves. And I'm certainly familiar with the smell of guaiac wood from fragrances like Guaiac 10 by Le Labo, and a few other niche fragrances. I believe it's a little bit more common in niche perfumery than it is in designer perfumery. But I feel like this one goes in so many different directions, but that herbal aromatic introduction sets itself apart from that warm heart and also the woodsy base. And so I find this to be a very well balanced composition. I find it to be very unique in the sense that it doesn't smell like anything else on the market, and that's something to be said about a lot of Frapin fragrances. 1270 for me has always been very unique. If is very unique as well. So many of their fragrances really have a personality of their own, and I think there's no exception with Bois Blanc. This one really does stand out. And the more you smell it, the more you start to pick up on other nuances and idiosyncrasies within the composition that leave you feeling like, oh wow, this is anything but a linear perfume. So I'm really enjoying this one. I'm really enjoying the performance that this one gives off. I'm really enjoying the sort of vibe and olfactory prowess of this fragrance, in the sense that not only does it perform well, but it also has a very high level of uniqueness too. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I certainly find this fragrance to be unique. It does not smell like anything else that I put my nose on. So you can tell whichever perfumer worked on this really did an exquisite job with this fragrance, keeping it woodsy and creamy and ambery and smoky and aromatic and a little bit minty and fresh, citrusy. I mean, it goes in so many different directions, but the interplay of those ingredients is very harmonious and they mesh and meld very well with one another. Overall smell is very appealing, and I also think that that touch of smoke in the base on account of the cade is really what's going to make this the mysterious fragrance that we look for, and something that veers away from the side of plain or generic. This is anything but. In terms of the longevity on this fragrance, I got about 7 to 8 hours on my skin, so I'm very satisfied there. In terms of the projection, it radiated within an arm's length for the first hour and a half of application, especially while a lot of these ingredients or notes in the opening are very vibrant and very well alive. Once they start to dissipate, then it starts to sit about an elbow's length away from your skin. But even then, within the first hour and a half or 2 hours, it will get you noticed. And so this is one where I'm not necessarily afraid to apply again throughout the day. And I think it's going to be one of those types of fragrances where, the opening is just so addictive that you want to smell the opening again. In terms of the versatility on this one, I think it's perfectly unisex. I think it can be worn all year round, indoors and outdoors, any season, any occasion. There's this element of uniqueness about it that I think makes it very appropriate for a formal scenario or a special occasion. Like I said, it's anything but simple or generic, but it's also very likable and it's a very accessible formula. So I can see somebody wearing this one on a casual basis as well. It's not overly formal or anything like that. And I think some of the warmer and woodsy elements make it appropriate for the colder weather, but I also feel like that eucalyptus and ginger and citrus thing puts me in the mindset of the hotter weather as well. So I can see this one being incredibly versatile, all seasons, all occasions. Men or women, anybody can wear this one. And in terms of the presentation with a name like Bois Blanc, I think it's actually quite accurate, but reading the name, I think, does not do justice to the composition, which is far more complex than what the name denotes. And so I really hope you have the opportunity to go out there and get your nose on this fragrance. I know samples can be purchased from Max Aroma, so if you want to just get a sample of it first, wear it for a few days just to get a good feel for it, I would certainly recommend doing that. And with that being said, this is available at Max Aroma once more. All of their information is going to be down below. Definitely check them out. I've been there in person. I've done an event there. I really trust the people who work there very much so. And so Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you took something of value from this video. That was my review of the brand new 2021 release by the company Frapin. This one is called Bois Blanc. If you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, if this video review was helpful in any way, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you next time. Bye.